Hello and welcome. I hope you can see me a lot more than what you may have seen on the previous video. I have obviously changed the webcam around a bit, or the laptop that the webcam is in. But that doesn't matter. It's more about my views and about my face and about how I look and all of that sort of stuff. That's not important. What is important is my views on various different subject matters and getting those views out there so that people can hear and understand what I'm trying to say and what I believe in. In this film, I want to talk about drink and drugs and my view on drink and drugs, which may not be very PC for some people, but however they are my views. Tomorrow evening there will be a political meeting on mental health, which I intend to go to, and the subject of the meeting is on Marxism and mental health and what Marx may have said about mental health in his time. But of course I will probably want to express my views on mental health in our modern time. Obviously I'm going on to try and find out what Marx felt on the subject matter, but I'm obviously going to talk about mental health and what I feel about the mental health services that there are for people who've got a variety of different mental health problems. But obviously I won't be expressing these views on drink and drugs in the meeting, because I remember once before when somebody came along to a similar meeting and tried to express their views on drink and drugs and was virtually shouted down by the benefits CAB advisor, who is very good in his job and was very knowledgeable and knows the benefit laws inside and out and can help people, and and I respect him, and because of that, and he's involved in obviously Unison as well here in Huddersfield, which obviously identifies where I am. I've been saying that, but and I respect him because of his job and because of what he does. However, I think that these people who came along to this political meeting, which will be happening tomorrow, some time ago, should have been allowed to air their views, because obviously they wanted to say something about drink and drugs, which wasn't considered PC to be saying this in a left-wing political meeting. And obviously the problem is that everybody who, certainly, I won't say this about all left-wing politics, because not all left-wing politics is the same. Not all left-wing people think the same and feel the same, and neither should they. We end up, like I said in the previous video, end up in a situation where everybody has to agree and everybody has to have the same thoughts and feelings. That's not a good thing, and I certainly don't believe in if we're to change the world and for the better for everybody, then we have to have a variety of different views, and to accept that you're never going to agree with everything that everybody says. but to sort of like make everybody think, right, this is the way in which we must think. And if you don't think like that, then you're a bad person. That to me is not a good road to go down. I won't say what I think that leads to, but obviously you can think in your own head about what that could lead to. If we try to stifle people's views just because they don't always say what you think they should say. And I've had the problem, certainly at this political meeting that I've been to in the past, whereby sometimes you come out with a view that doesn't fit in with the party's way of thinking, then you can end up in a lot of trouble. Not just on this subject matter, but on other subject matters as well. That's why I don't always turn up all the time. It's not just because of my autism playing up, but because somewhere along the way I don't always agree with what they had to say or think. And sometimes I do. You know, that's how it is. And talking about drinking drugs can be quite a fiery subject matter. But when it comes to services, when it comes to talking about mental health, when it comes to talking about benefits, because of the fact that there is not equality going across the board when it comes to disability and mental health and drinking drugs. There should be. I hope in another video to talk about my views on mental health and in another video, but in this one I want to talk about drinking drugs, because of course I have been to throughout my time living here in Huddersfield, I have been to mental health charities, and I have met a lot of people who have got drinking drugs problems, and you know, and I have had, or I still do have, got friends who have either have kicked the habit or are still battling with their addictions. And it's a very difficult subject to talk about because not everybody wants to talk about this. Some people just want to brush this under the carpet. The attitude coming across from the person who works at the CAB, who comes to the party meetings, well, I won't mention in this video, but the attitude coming across to him towards the two people who turned up at the party meeting and they started talking about drinking drugs was that you mustn't think like that. You must think in this particular way, and that they were being wrong for thinking in that way. Almost like a teacher telling you off for having certain views. But actually I think I was agreeing with what they was trying to say. And I don't want to sound harsh, and I don't want to sound as I'm not caring towards those people who've got drinking drug problems. I hope and I pray in my heart of hearts that they will get help, they will seek help, and they will get off their problems. I know that obviously drinking drugs is a hard subject matter, and it is one that many people will battle with throughout their lives. And it's not easy, you know, being addicted to drinking drugs, you know, being on, you know, serious hard drugs, or having serious drinking problems, either binge drinkers or serious alcoholics. me and my mum, unfortunately, for a short time in our lives, we lived with an alcoholic. So I know all too well about this subject matter. It's not just something that is distant from me. And our lives were put through hell. My mother seriously loved this man, and they say love is blind, and in this case it was certainly true, because she ended up having big fights with me because I, like everybody else, like my sisters, who were not living at home at this stage, could see him for what he was. And she didn't want to see this because obviously she thought that he really loved her. He didn't, unfortunately. He was just using her. And, you know, it took a long time for Mum to see the light and to see that, you know, he was what he was. He didn't love her. He didn't care about her. He just wants to use her. And unlike me and my mum's lives were put for hell. Because of this man and his addiction. And the thing is that my mother still wants to help him, which is a good thing. But she was told that he would have had to seek out help himself, because the message is that you cannot just take somebody along and get help for them. They have to want to change themselves, and that's the important thing. They have to see that they have got a problem first of all, and then actually see that they want to actually do something for themselves. You cannot force them to do this for them. You cannot make them. They have to do it for them. In the end, my mother had to have him evicted from the house. It was the only thing that she was left to do. She had to do this, and you know, that was how things were. But you know, I won't say that everybody who's on drinking drugs is a bad person, because I have known some good people, and it's quite sad that their lives are the way in which they are. And I wish and I hope that they will, you know, sooner or later see the light and want to get rid of their problems. I know it's an ongoing battle. It's one of the hardest ones that they can face. But of course I have had some quite frightening experiences with certain friends who have had drinking drug problems, which I won't talk about here, but I've been at the rough end of when they've been heavily drinking or heavily taking drugs, and it's been quite frightening for me. And that's why I have had to, perhaps in some ways, cut out those people out of my life. But I still hope and I still pray that they will change and they will seek help and they will get help. But some of them, not all of them, but I have seen the other side of things. Now that you do meet some genuine cases, and you do meet people whose life has been messed up by drinking drugs, and they seriously want to kick the habit. A friend who I was with last night is teetotal. He has totally given up. He doesn't touch any drink or drugs, and he's quite happy just to do his own thing, to get involved with music again, and he wants to go out and help other people with his music and do some sort of musical therapy, and that's good. And I'm glad to see that, and there's a sense of how people can change their lives around. And then you can meet, and there are many people who go to these sorts of groups and these drug and drink rehabilitation places that certainly you'll find quite a lot of them here in town, and no doubt in the nearest town where you live you'll find the same sort of thing. But not all of them take it seriously. Some of them see it as a bit of a joke. Oh well, we'll go in, we'll get free coffee, we'll play a bit of music, have a bit of social, but we'll go out and we'll go off and look for drugs or look for drink. And I find that those sorts, that particular, now not all of them are the same. There are ones who want to seriously kick the habit, and who are there to want to kick the habit. But these groups should be doing more to sort of have zero tolerance policies on the ones who just don't want to change. I have heard of how some of my friends in the past have been kicked out of such places because they haven't shown that they're serious in wanting to change. They're causing trouble, and they're ruining it for all the people who do want to change, who do want to get help. So I don't want to say that everybody who is in these sorts of places is like this. Not all of them, but obviously there needs to be more done to make sure that everybody who goes into such places is wanting to change their ways. And to kick out the ones who don't, because obviously they're ruining it for the ones who do, because obviously there are people there who've had really bad time in their life and who want to change, and that's good, and that's what it should be there for. And it needs, considering that a lot of these charities and these drink and drug rehabilitation places get a lot of money from the government in order to get people off of drink and drugs and to sort people's lives out. And that's how it should be, and it should be there for the genuine cases, but for those who don't want to change, they shouldn't be allowed to be in there. And that's my point of view. If they want to seriously change their life around, then that's great. But if they don't, then why should they be there? Because they're going to bring it down for everybody else. And I've seen all of this, and I've witnessed, the sort of conversations that go on. And I've seen how some of them, not all of them, but some of them will go off and want to be drinking after going to these groups. And I'm not going to say that they're all the same, because they're not. And obviously it's one of the hardest things for people to get off of. They find that the system as it stands in this country is not equal when it comes to services. A good example is that if you're claiming benefits, for example, you can get extra points if you've got drink and drug problems. And the thing is that you consider this, if you consider this for a moment, now yes, of course, and I appreciate that some people have been through some dreadful things in their lives, and that's why they turn to drink and drugs. And not all of them are on drink and drugs because they just like the taste of it, or they like the feel of it. Some of them are, there are people who have no real problems in their lives, and they just took drinking drugs and they just got hooked on them. But some of them obviously have been through some very painful things, and I have a lot of sympathy, and I hope and I pray, as I say, that they will get the help, not just with the drinking drugs that they take, but also with obviously the underlying problems, the problems that led them down that path, whatever sort of bad things have happened to them. And I don't want to sound as I'm being harsh or I'm being uncaring or anything, and I hope and I pray that they will get the help that they deserve. And, that has to be not just help with getting off of the drinking drugs, but also help with whatever it is that they've gone through in their lives to bring them to that point. But many, if you consider that if you've got some other mental health problem which wasn't brought on by drink or drugs, or if you've got some long-term illness, or and I'm not saying it's all the same, but if you've got a disability that you were born with from birth, whether that's a learning difficulty or whether that's something like Down syndrome or MS, autism, or many, you were born blind, or you were born with no legs, or you were born deaf, or there is a variety of different disabilities that you could have been born with. Nobody gives you that choice. As somebody who has got at least two disabilities, if I include my mental health, that would obviously be a third thing, obviously. But as somebody who was born with at least two disabilities, who knows what else I might have. I didn't have that choice, and many people that I grew up with didn't have that choice. We didn't choose to have those problems. I went to special needs school, and I grew up with kids who had all sorts of disabilities. I'm sure you can think of a whole long list that you could name. And none of them wanted to have those problems, but they had them from birth. And I've had my problems from birth, and I will die with them. But many people who, for whatever reason, who take drinking drugs, take it because either to, I'm sympathetic, and I want to be sympathetic. They take it for whatever reasons. And, I want to see those people having help and getting help. But far too often the system can treat them much better than everybody else. And this is what I think is wrong. That, when you have been born with a disability, nobody gives you that choice. When you perhaps get a disability later in life, perhaps like my sister, who went to work, who loved her job, and then she ended up, and considering that, well, to give you an idea, my sister was born in the late 1960s, So that gives you an idea of her age. She is only a couple of years older than me, as I was born in the 70s. But she ended up with with arthritis, and everybody thinks of arthritis as being an old person's problem, but she had it quite early on, and it is quite sad that when you would go and visit her, she was in a lot of pain. She was getting to the point where she was almost in a wheelchair, and I think basically as time has gone on, and it's quite sad that she doesn't want to live. She's given up on life. She's in a lot of pain. She has to take a lot of drugs, prescribed drugs, so she they clear, steroids and God knows what else. Nobody, she didn't bring that on herself. That was just something which was waiting to happen, and it's quite sad, really. I cannot imagine what her life is like now. The physical and mental pain that she must go through. But this is where the system is equal. Everybody, in my view, regardless of if you've got drinking drug problems, regardless of if you've got mental health problems, regardless of if you've got long-term disability or long-term illness, should all be treated the same. Nobody should be treated any different. Nobody should get sort of like special treatment. Unfortunately, in our system as it stands at the moment in the UK, I'm not saying this is the overall view, because obviously, it's not the overall view, but unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, drinking drug problems, people who've got drinking drug problems can get more help than anybody else. You're far much more likely to get more points when it comes to claiming benefits. If you've got drinking drug problems, you're far much more likely to get a bus pass if you've got drinking drug problems. I'm not saying that anybody else cannot get a bus pass or cannot get more points on the benefit system, but you're far much more likely to get much more help. You're much more likely to have different groups where you can go to if you've got drinking drug problems, because there's a lot of money being spent to help people get off drinking drug problems. If you're trying to set up an autism group, you're perhaps going to have problems. If you're trying to set up a group for people who've got dementia, I'm not saying you can't get help, but the government is much more geared up towards helping people who've got drinking drug problems. I'm not saying that other people can't get help, and that then it's not true that there are not dementia groups out there, or not groups for people who've got autism or spina bifida or other things. That there's a lot of funding for people who've got drinking drug problems, and for setting up of groups that are there to try and help people with drinking drug problems, and to help them through music and through art and other ways. When it comes to getting help in mental health services, there is a tendency to want to sort of like help out the ones who've got drinking drug problems much more than those who haven't got drinking drug problems. That doesn't mean to say that they don't help out other people who have got other problems, but you're much more likely to see a therapist or psychologist far much more quicker than anybody else. So what we need, what I believe in, is that we need to change the system altogether. need to have a system that is fair for everybody, regardless of who you are or what you are, regardless of what your problem is, regardless of what your circumstances are. Something I probably want to cover in another video on mental health, but certainly this is the situation. I care a lot about those people who have drinking and drug problems, and I think that they need as much help as that they should have. But should they have much more help than anybody else? Should they get much more help than somebody who has got schizophrenia, somebody who's got dementia, or somebody who his voices in the middle of the night, who has night terrors, or a variety of different problems? Should they get much more help than somebody who's got autism, or somebody who has got no legs? You know, I think that the system is unfair, and the way in which people are treated within the system is not as good as what it could be. And you know, I think the way in which things are being run is not good. And I think that for me, equality means a lot. And until we have full equality on every level, to do with every subject matter, then we're never going to be equal. And that is the important thing, that we should have a fair and equal system that shows no difference towards one group or another. There should be equal treatment, and there should be better treatment for everybody, regardless of who you are or what your problem is. And that's what I want to say, and that's what I wanted to express in this video. And maybe some of these things might be considered un-PC to be said in a left-wing group, in a left-wing socialist group. But how are we ever going to change things if we just bury our head in the sand and just think, well, this is how things are, and that's how things should be? We must have a system that is better for everybody. And if we're to have a better world for everybody, that means treat everybody the same equally. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.